What happens when you max out your strength in Bloodborne? What's up everybody, Stream Your Mind here and welcome back. Today we're going to be breaking Bloodborne and we're doing it with nothing but raw strength. That's right, we're not messing around with those weeb skill builds. We're Chad hunters through and through and there's no room for viscerals in this house. It's all about that one thing. Bunk, baby. But before we dive into the carnage, if you enjoy what I do on this channel, consider subscribing. It helps more than you know and I would appreciate it very, very much. After choosing the war veteran class and making myself look absolutely gorgeous, I woke up in the clinic where I was hospitalized because I had a nightmare where I couldn't play Bloodborne for a week. I ran to the first lantern to travel to the Hunter's Dream, where I obtained our first weapon, the Hunter's Axe. Now that we were armed and dangerous, it was time to get to work. I picked up the goodies on my way to the first boss. The axe's charge attack is perfect for crowd control, so really useful in the early stages of the game. After unlocking the shortcut, I went straight for the cleric beast. All I had to do for this boss was just spin to win. The safest position to attack was when facing his bony ass. As usual, in the later stage of the fight, I nearly died, but luckily I was able to recover, and with just a few spins, the cleric beast took it on the chin and we could use its souls to start leveling up our strength. I continued picking up the shinies in the area while also getting some lucky drops from enemies. I activated the elevator and visited the Father of the Year, and if you're wondering how he sounds like in Italian, well, here you go.
Bestie dappertutto. Presto o tardi, anche tu diventerai come lui.
This is a fight where the Hunter's Axe truly shine, even if unupgraded. Using the tombstones for cover is the strat. Combined with the spinning for winning, the results were devastating. But we all know, everybody gangsta until Gascoigne turns into a rabid dog. Luckily though, he's much easier to parry during this phase. After leveling up in the dream, I returned to Yarnham, got the red jewel brooch and got my hands on the blood gem workshop tool, before entering the cathedral ward. After opening up the ward, I bought Gascoigne's set only to resell it to the Bath Messengers. I slipped into something more comfortable before reaching Old Yarnham to collect the 3 blood shards from the scurrying beast near the start of the area. I farmed the rest of the 10,000 echoes needed to buy the seal to open the gates and get access to the rest of the cathedral area, where you can find a lot of blood shards. I reached Hemwick Charnel Lane, where you can kill these dogs for shards if you need to. Here in Hemwick we can find lots of twin blood shards as well. Once I had enough, I upgraded my axe to +5 and reinforced it with the best blood gems I could find. And I reached the Grand Cathedral of Furries, where Amelia decided to transform herself into Crash Bandicoot. I mean, come on, the resemblance is uncanny. The spin to win strat proved to be quite effective against this boss as well. Staying close to her sides was the best position to avoid most of her attacks. The range and the power of the charger too could easily stun lock her, but the visceral damage was, as expected, really underwhelming. But with a couple more spins, the doggo went down. After leveling up once again, I decided to start touching things I'm not supposed to, and I had Joe Biden visit me in a mystical vision to tell me something really, really important. Before visiting Press Continue's favorite boss, I spent all my insight to buy blood shards. Having 0 insight when fighting this boss prevents the witches from summoning the annoying enemies that are the real boss of the fight, meaning it was going to be a 3-way through and through. In no time, the first witch went and met God, and not long after, the other crackhead did the same. Remember kids, don't do drugs. And now it's time to finally become OP. I picked up the key to the DOC, got some love from the best girl, and woke up in the Hunter's Nightmare, where there are plenty of trinkets and goodies. I relived the Battlefield 1 experience. I then got 2 blood chunks while I was on my way to pick up the whirligig saw, an absolute unit of a weapon. I upgraded it to +4, but I was going to need more twin blood shards. So I ran to the entrance to the Forbidden Woods and gave them the password, which is Propagator69420 if you were wondering. Hey look! A visual representation of my YouTube channel. Here in the woods, I found what I was looking for, and while I was here, I unlocked the shortcut to the clinic. I obtained the Painherd summons, found some gems on my way to the elevator back in the woods, and made it safely to the shortcut. Once I got enough twin shards, I used them on the whirligig saw for +6, and I said bye bye to the axe and hello to my little friend. I continued my journey towards unlimited power in the DLC, where I got my hands on a few blood chunks and used them to upgrade to +7. Then I paid a visit to my favorite girl in the whole world. And honestly guys, I truly think I'm way too underleveled for this. After I was done professing my love to the beast, I called a cab and played some Bloodborne card. I arrived at Painhurt's castle to continue my mission. I got the blood chunks laying around, being careful of Dracula over here, picked up the expensive gear laying around, which I then sold to the messengers to level up my strength even further. Then I killed the first boss of the first level of the first Humero Chalice dungeon in order to get loaded by the cum. I now realize that for anyone who don't know this game, this will sound quite weird. Anyways, I could now use the cum chalice dungeon to farm echoes to buy vials and bullets. Next up, the Shadows of Yarnham, that I absolutely wrecked with the power of my pizza cutter. After the shadows, I went straight to rum. The vacuous potato, despite the cool arena, isn't much of a threat, so I cleared the first batch of spiders, ate a beast blood pellet, and raised the meter to the full, and the rest, as you know, is history. In Yahar'gul, I picked up some good old blood chunks and was feeling confident. So I decided to change a light bulb, and I can say that this boss, to me, is just ass. It has incomprehensible moves and timings.
Oddio.
Luckily, I could easily stun lock him for some big damage. Killing Paul granted me the Spark Hunter badge for infinite lightning papers. I then picked up the last chunk I would need to upgrade the cutter to +9, but looking at my gems, I noticed that they kinda sucked, and that resulted in pretty underwhelming damage against the one reborn. No worries, we can fix it. So back in the dream, I searched for this glyph, which gives us access to a reverse depth chalice dungeon. These aren't the best for farming gems, but there are a few that can give us pretty good radials and triangulars. In this one in particular, we'll find radials, which are dropped by this watcher, which kinda resembles your mother, in looks at least. You can find up to 22%, but because of time constraints, I was going to settle for the best ones I could find. Once I did, I had quite a few souls that I could spend on levels. And now that my radial gem situation was looking a lot better, I was still in need for a triangular gem. So I entered this glyph you see on screen, and I killed the 2 scurrying beasts on these stairs and obtained my triangulars. And it was time for revenge. After I killed the witches in the arena, it was me and the disgusting being in front of me, and well, the pizza cutter just cut through his limbs like a hot knife through butter. After the one reborn, it was time for the funny man called Micolash to meet the great ones. And if you're wondering how he sounds in Italian, well, now you'll know.
Nessuno ci può prendere, nessuno può fermarci.
By baiting his Augur of Ebrietta's attack, I could easily find openings to shove my whirligig saw up his butthole. In second phase, I made sure to plunge attack him and the fight was over before I even noticed. I returned to Yahar'gul real quick to pick up the key to the Upper Cathedral Ward and got the Eye Batcher badge for infinite beast blood pellets. Then I picked up the blood rock to upgrade to plus 10 and I was happy because my favorite boss was coming up.
Una belva orrenda. Un terrore enorme incombe su di noi.
If you're wondering why I was doing so much damage to Ludwig, the whirligig saw also does serration damage, which is a secret type of damage that inflicts 20% more damage on beasts like beans. Jesus, that's a lot of damage. Alright, it's best area time. You know what? I'm glad Lady Maria did those things to you guys. Once I made it to the living failures, which is unironically what my mother calls me, it was an easy first try. As with the amount of damage I was dealing, I was able to spawn kill them repeatedly on the spot. Before moving on with the DLC, I arrived at the Mergo's Wet Nurse boss fight, which is surprisingly one of the hardest bosses of the run, as she could easily one-tap me with most of her moves. Mergo also has quite a lot of health, meaning the fight would last longer than your average Minecraft YouTuber around miners. The best strat was to try and get behind her and hug that booty while trying to inflict as much damage as possible. Now that the any percent run was done, I tried to do some freaky stuff to a corpse that turns out wasn't a corpse. Lady Maria literally came back to life instead of letting me touch her dead body. That's pretty insulting. I would have loved for her to step on me, but now I was the one that would have to do the stomping. Luckily, during phase 1, I could easily stun lock her with just the use of my R1s, and we went through the first phase trading hits. It definitely wasn't my cleanest Lady Maria fight, as I almost died a couple of times, remaining with the slightest bit of health, though I managed to recover and used her second phase transition to melt her health bar, after which I gave her the final blow. Oh Maria, we could have been so much more. Before venturing to the endgame, it was time to clean some house. Starting with Amy. And what can I say? She simply did not stand a chance, as it only took a couple of hits on her head to stagger her and just a few more to finish her. My pizza cutter just melted her like a popsicle in the sun. Same thing can be said about the Smurfs. But I was curious about Ebrietas, and I've never understood how people find her difficult. Like, I think I died to this boss maybe once during my Hunter Tools only run. Moving on, we have Lawrence the First Vicar, considered one of the hardest bosses in the game. And if you need any proof that the whirligig saw is the most broken weapon in the game, just check out what I did to this poor guy. So for phase 1, just bait his ground slam attack, the one followed by the ring of fire. If timed correctly, in between the slams with 2 R1s I could stagger it, sending the boss into some sort of infinite loop. Second phase, well, there isn't much to say. And that's how you handle a burning barbecue. For Orphan, since he could wipe my health bar in just one shot easily, I decided to opt for the peri cheese, and well, this is how it went. Okay, it's time to wrap things up, so I decided to visit the old man on a wheelchair committing tax fraud because he not only can walk, but also fly. But fortunately, he didn't have any time for that. With my pizza cutter, I simply baited out his spin to win attack, 2-3 hits in, repeat. I used his phase transition to get some free hits in, and in no time, German went down. Moon Presence is another one of those bosses where it's completely incomprehensible to tell what is happening, for the most part. But the good amount of damage combined with the Beast Blood pellets melted the Great One's health bar, and I finally know what happens if you only level up Strength in Bloodborne. You break the game. Alright guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and join my Discord server, the link will be in the description. Alright guys, that's all I've got for today. Stream Your Mind out.